What is up? So I want to go over something I've been seeing across a few channels, and I want to say right off the bat here, not knocking what these channels are doing with these torture tests and stuff like that. That kind of stuff needs to happen. I just want to give my perspective on these survival blankets, emergency blankets, whatever you want to call them, and where I feel like taking those torture tests as a means of saying that the product is garbage. I don't agree with that at all. They're not meant to be used as some battle worn item that's going to last forever. They are an emergency item. It's meant to keep you warm and keep you alive. It's not meant to make some huge tent out of. That being said, the torture tests need to happen. I'm not knocking them. I actually like those channels, and I'm glad that they did those videos. But just wanted to give my perspective and my personal thoughts on this situation. I do want to start off by saying that this brand right here, Tarps, their customer service is awesome. It's great. I received one of these that was missing a grommet. I emailed them and said, hey, this one was missing a grommet. They didn't say send it back or nothing. They just said, what's your address? And they sent me a replacement. I kept it. I mean, it's still a functioning item. It just is missing a grommet. It's not that big of a deal, and we're going to go over why. So I have a couple of them here. This is a little kit that I built that I dug out of one of my bigger bags because this is a different brand. I don't know if this one is an actual grabber or what. I believe this was through the Pathfinder school. And then, of course, the Tarps. And I don't have any of the other ones. I'm just going to go over these two. So let's look at this one real quick. I want to do a comparison because some people had comments about, Tarps versus, grabber brand or whatever. So we're going to go over this a little bit here. I need to redo this kit a little bit anyway. In this kit, this is a full mesh bug shelter with some paracord and stuff in here. The biggest thing that everyone said was the corners on the other brand was not being good, not being reinforced. And I will say this one, this looks reinforced, but this is very thin. The grommets are pretty cheap. I would not expect this to hold up, 100-mile-an-hour winds and whatnot. But in comparison to the Tarps cordage, these do fit in here very snug. So if you order one, be prepared. Get this out of the way for now. In comparison, the grommets are a little beefier. This is actually the one with the missing grommet. It just straight up didn't have one. But the grommets are a lot beefier. This feels a little thicker in comparison. Get out of the way. You can kind of see the difference there. This feels a lot thicker of a material. But this isn't a torture video by any means. I'm not going to go take these out and torture them. This one's an orange for, rescue style situation. This one's more subdued for my area. As far as the reflective qualities go, they're about the same. I am sure all of these companies order this from the same manufacturer to use to sew up their gear. So what other differences do we have? Well, Tarps, I'm not 100% sure that they are made in the USA, but the company is, I believe, in Washington. Customer service is great. From what I found online, they only have 8 employees, which tells me they probably outsource the manufacturing and then they just all handle, the sales and marketing and distribution and all that good stuff. This company, again, I don't recall. I believe this one was from the Pathfinder school whenever they were still selling this style. They've changed it quite a bit. So I don't know if this was made by Grabber or what. Most of these companies contract out the same overseas manufacturers anyway, and there's just, differences that they have them do. These aren't meant to really be made into like something that's going to withstand a ton of abuse. That's not what they're designed for. In order to make these work, if you're going to have them in, a more aggressive storm, whether it's high winds or whatever, make sure you have some Gorilla Tape. You can Gorilla Tape areas that you need to be stronger, but the easiest fashion is to not count on the grommets to begin with. And get yourself some of these. You guys have seen these if you watch Prepared Mind 101. These are super easy. They just go over and clamp down. These are tarp clips. Now that puts a lot more distributed pressure on an area instead of just where the eyelet is. But you can easily put these right here, and that's going to distribute some of that across this seam instead of just that hole. And you could double up if you really needed to. Now I know, I can already hear it, but that's just more stuff you got to carry. I agree. In the grand scheme of things, these are emergency survival blankets. They're not meant to be multiple use. People are using them for multiple use, and that's great, and I'm not saying that you can't, but know their limitations. Quit downing gear based on its limitations. These are just heavy duty of this. Well, they're not heavy duty if they get tore up. Well, compared to this, these are heavy duty. Now, these compared to this are not heavy duty. What is this? This is an Army surplus military tarp. Now, it's not reflective on the inside, but this is heavy duty. Multiple uses, so on and so forth. So, saying that this is crap because it can't do what this does isn't fair to this, because this is far better than this. Now, these are big, bulky. They're not super heavy, but they're far bigger than this. So in an emergency situation, having something to reflect heat back is much better than nothing at all. But don't down these, or don't assume that this can't do a job for you because of the torture tests. Torture tests are great, and that's exactly what they're meant to do. They're meant to put that product to its absolute breaking point. That's the point. Torture test. They do it with all kinds of stuff. If you tried the same thing with this, it wouldn't even get past the first stringing of it up. It's not made to do that. It's meant to wrap around your body. Well, so are those to a degree. So what I did, I'm not going to take this out because it's interesting to get back in here. This is an emergency kit, not a pull it out and use it every day kit. You can see right there, I have the other one of this one wrapped up inside a moving blanket, a large moving blanket from Harbor Freight. So now I have 2 layers. I got this idea from Dave over at Really Big Monkey 1, which he has changed his channel a couple of times. It went to Fun in the Woods, and I think he changed it back. This is heavy. You're not going to want to schlop around with this for fun, for sure. But again, emergency survival. So if you're planning on any of these being a shelter, just carry a tent. Keep these for low profile A-frame, or even just a pitched, tarp. But they're not meant to hold up to a foot of snow and 50-mile-an-hour winds. That's not their design. I'm sure there are some on the market that will, but these are meant to be emergency items. They're a little bulky, they're a little weighty, take up way more space in your pack, but again, it's an emergency thing. This kit, actually this one right here, in its carry case with the hank of paracord, stays in my car emergency bag. If something was to happen and we found ourselves stranded somewhere for a while, we would have a means of blocking sun, rain, and helping us stay warm. So I would pitch this against the roof rack of my vehicle coming down, or I have an awning mounted to my vehicle, so I could pitch this coming down on one side and have a small fire on the other side, and this would reflect that heat and keep that area warm. I'm not expecting to take this out and camp with it all the time. I could, as long as I know its limitations. That's the key. Know your gear's limitations. You can use it all day long for stuff it wasn't really intended for, as long as you understand that the intended purpose is where your limitations, that line is drawn. You know, in an emergency, we're just going to wrap up in this. We're going to hold this around this. We're going to drape this, you know, across the car, or, you know, get in a ditch and put this over us. You know, this isn't meant to be a tent. This isn't meant to replace a tent. We have all got to know that fine line between bushcrafting and emergency prepping / survival prepping. It's great to bushcraft, but don't take what they can do with this and expect yourself to do it unless you're actually practicing doing it. Having this as a means of keeping warm, keeping dry. That's what it's designed for. That's what it's marketed as. It's not marketed to be some bad to the bone canvas tent, because it's not. It has its limitations. Work within the limitations and everything will work out. I'll throw links to some of this down below if you want to take a look. The links do help out the channel. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. We got some more videos coming on some other gear. Till the next one, take care.